Okay, so I'm back. It's a bit strange to do a class like this because I cannot have the feedback from you, and I am I don't know. I think I need to be if I am doing a video, it must be perfect and very organized, but am I not perfect or not so much organized, but okay, I wanted to basically what I am aiming with this class is that you know which is the role of the forensic anthropologist and the importance that this has in the community, the society, to be able to solve cases that, of course, are something that it's a debt, right? That the governments have with the victims of human rights cases. And the only good thing about doing this video is that I can stop and wake up, eat an apple or something. So I think we will talk a little bit more about cases because it's more interesting for you maybe. And I'm not gonna talk specific cases, but just in general, the kind of situations in which the forensic anthropologist usually is involved in these kind of cases. So let's say that the basic thing, the most typical thing is the search and recovery. Well, of course, this is the archaeologist who will be leading the team, but I'm going to talk about, as I said before, as the teamwork. So the typical modus operandi of these cases are that people are detained, then they are executed unlawfully, and they are buried illegally. Now, in some cases, persons are buried in individual graves but without a name. In other cases, persons can be buried in a mass grave. This means um, multiple burials without separation between the bodies. This this scenario can stop there. It can happen that persons are buried and they stay there until they are exhumed to be analyzed and hopefully identified. But let's say this would be the most simple cases, and easier to resolve. But many times after this original burial of remains, the perpetrators try to hide the evidence that persons have been killed. So they go back to the sites, to the graves, and remains are illegally exhumed, many times in a very bad way, and they are reburied in another location. In some cases, this practice of exhuming and reburying can happen for 3-4 times, and remains that were originally buried in this first grave, you can find them in different locations, so overcomplicating the situation. Um, in the cases that I have participated, we have found this called the primary grave, so the place where the persons were first buried. And because these exhumations that were done to hide the evidence of persons being unlawfully executed, killed, are done in a fast way, or were done in a fast way, of course not by professionals, and some remains have remained in that original first grave. And even though these remains may be very scarce, very, let's say, incomplete, sometimes only fragments of bone, it's still from these remains that we find there, we can still tell many things. For example, we can establish how many persons were buried there as a minimum number, and of course we will try for genetic analysis to be able to identify the persons. So this let's say is one type of cases, but other cases have a very different nature. For example, as I mentioned before, paternity cases. I'm just going to put you in a hypothetical situation where let's say that the mother and the father of, I mean, two persons, a father, a woman and a man, are detained. And the mother or the woman happened to be pregnant at the moment of detention. So what happens if this person, this woman, is detained but is not killed immediately, and this baby is born, and then the mother goes missing as well. So here we have a child, and this child might have been given to adoption, for example, and for some reason there is doubt about who are the father and the mother of this person. So then what we must do is look for, of course, the possible mother or father of this child. But what happens if we cannot find them because they went missing? So we know that some of the missing persons, many of them, will be found and identified. But what if we don't find the mother and the father of this child? So then we can look for the families, the father and the mother of, let's say, the grandfathers and the grandmothers of this child, and hopefully we will find them alive, and we will be able to do a genetic analysis, and this child that by this time will be a woman or a man will be able to know the real history of his family. So as I said, there are many different scenarios and different outcomes, and also how this affects people as well. It is quite I would say it's very emotional, you know, when you get to reach these kind of conclusions. Of course, again, I'm going to say that these things are not done only by the forensic anthropology. Of course, there is a judge behind, and there is investigation and witness and all those things. We just put our small contribution where we can have, for example, taking the samples, analyzing information, etc. Also, cases can vary so much between different contexts, different countries, because the information available in each part of the world about missing persons is very different. So I'm just going to make a very small parallel between Chile and Iraq. Very different. And the difference are really shocking. So just to start with the numbers of missing persons. For example, in Chile, we estimate around 1,300 missing persons. But in Iraq, this estimation cannot really be done accurately, or not. We cannot come to a number that is more probable than other. I will tell you that the estimation of missing persons from Iraq are from 250,000 persons to 1 million persons. This is how complicated the situation is. So, of course, we want to have the more information that we can, because the more information that we have, the more probabilities that we have that we will find the victims and we will be able to identify them. But we need to look at the context of the country where these human rights cases happened, because when there is a conflict that is fresh and new, or even a conflict that is going on, you cannot go and say, okay, who's missing, and give the name of the person that's missing, because family is afraid, and people are facing dangers. So it is not an easy duty, let's say, to be able to establish exactly who is missing, why the person went missing, when the person went missing, etc. So so these are a huge difference between different countries. So as I was saying, the workload as well for the forensic teams are, of course, different. In the case of Iraq, for example, just they have so many remains to analyze, and they don't even have a concrete list of people that they're looking for. So again, we need to go back to what I was saying before about being realistic about the expectations that we can create with families and the community and etc. Because sometimes people may think that, okay, if some remains are found, then if we can do DNA, we can identify them. But the truth is that it's not so simple. Hopefully, it was that simple, and in some cases, it's not so complicated. But I was going back to the case of Iraq, with this lack of information. If we don't have an official list of missing persons, as we're thinking that we may have from 250,000 to 1 million, and we happen to find some remains, okay, so with whom are we going to match, and what should we do? So these are questions that the teams and the authorities must answer before doing the following search and recover and analysis, etc. I will have to stop for a second because I can only upload videos that are less than 15 minutes.